The news of Luka Doncic's demise was greatly exaggerated, as was proven last night against the Nuggets. Luka comes out and has himself a pretty dominant performance against one of the best teams in the West and in basketball, in the Nuggets. Scores 32 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, 4 steals, only 1 turnover, a team best, second best on the team, plus 20. Dorian Finney-Smith, shout out to him, was plus 21 in a pretty dominant win against the Nuggets, a game where they kind of controlled it throughout, but in the fourth quarter just put the clampers on and pulled away for a 23-point win. Did it while only playing Jackson Hayes 25 minutes and Alex Lynn was 3 minutes or so of garbage time. So basically was played about 20 minutes without a center on the court, which I think is going to be a big part of this team's strategy. And in all honesty, it looked great. I thought they did a really good job. I thought defensively, their rotations, their togetherness on the defensive end of the court was pretty impressive. This team has the ability, let's just say this, last night's game made it look like they have the ability to be a high-level defensive team without having a real consistent center besides Jackson Hayes, who, by the way, is a contributor. Like, I think for all the concerns about, oh my gosh, Jackson Hayes is your only big, he's not a terrible basketball player. Like, I don't think he's trash, and I think Luka, and having Luka around him makes him better. But I have to say, first of all, Luka was really good defensively last night. 4 steals, shout out to Luka. I think I've always been in the camp that he is a extremely underrated defender. I understand at times he is not a high-level one-on-one isolation defender, but I think as a whole, he is a well-rounded, high-level defender, and he's not a terrible isolation defender as well. There have been highlights of him in having moments of low effort on the defensive end of the court and things of that nature, and those things have obviously gotten overblown a little bit. But I've always been of the opinion, as a Mavs fan who was watched the dude play more than anybody, he's not that bad of a defensive player at all. And last night he was pretty good. Not to mention LeBron has been awesome defensively as of late, compared to really over the last couple of years being almost a non-factor defensively. So that's another thing. He just seems reinvigorated. I think getting Luka has been like, he's 40, but he feels 25. Like, and not to mention he plays like he's 25 still. The dude's a god. I mean, 25 points on 11 and 19, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. Still just out here doing it at the highest level. 3 blocks as well. Rui Hachimura with an efficient 21 and 36 minutes. Dorian Finney-Smith didn't score the ball much, but he was a contributor as well. Defensively especially has been awesome for them. Jared Vanderbilt didn't play much tonight, but he's another guy who's been a real contributor as of late on the defensive end of the court. And so is Gabe Vincent, one of the better defensive guards in basketball. If he can continue to shoot the ball pretty well, which he has over the last couple months, been about a 40% three-point shooter, if he can sustain that, then he's a very valuable bench piece as well. I like Jordan Goodwin. He's been a contributor since they signed him after making all the moves that they did around the deadline. Another bench guard contributor as well. Dalton Connect gives you that shooting ability. He's gonna have nights where he comes in and he scores 24 points and makes 6 threes. Like that, you just have a lot of versatility to this team outside of that center position. Obviously Austin Reeves as well. I mean, I didn't even mention him yet. We're 3 minutes into the video and I haven't mentioned Austin Reeves. That is a great sign for how deep this Lakers team is. 7 of 13, 4 of 7 from 3, 7 assists, 4 rebounds, 23 points. Just a 3-headed monster that I don't think teams are gonna have an answer for on the offensive end of the court. And the thing is, if they can be this good defensively too, I mean, good luck. In their last 17 games, they have a 109.3 defensive rating, which is best in basketball. Their best defensive players as of late have been Jared Vanderbilt, Jackson Hayes, LeBron, Austin Reeves, Dorian Finney-Smith. If Jackson Hayes can be a high-level defensive player at the center position and just catch lobs and be efficient offensively, LeBron playing the best defense of his career, Dorian Finney-Smith, a high-level individual and team defender. Austin Reeves, I don't love defensively in general, but has been good statistically as of late. And then I think Luka underrated on the defensive end as well, the court as well. Plus you have guard defender like a Gabe Vincent who's legitimately capable. I don't see why this team can't be solid defensively. And the interesting thing is, yeah, they have the best defensive rating by a team in their last 17 games, and that absolutely takes into account the fact that they had Anthony Davis for a lot of those games and a much different makeup to their roster. But in their last 4 games, since acquiring Luka Doncic, their first 4 games with Luka, they have the 7th best defensive rating in basketball. But more impressively, it is overall a lower defensive rating than what the #1 defensive rating in basketball is over the last 17 games, which is at 109.3. It's a 106.9 in their last 4 games. Now, it's only 7th best in basketball because a lot of other teams, it's a very small sample size, so a lot of other teams are going to have very impressive stretches in that section. but it's been impressive that they've been able to sustain that high level defensive performance with Luka to this point and with a much different roster makeup. And the reason they're 2-2 and they've lost a couple games is because they have struggled offensively. Luka just truly has been in a funk, like we've almost never seen from him. As a Mavs fan, I know you don't see Luka struggle like he has these past 3 games, but to be fair, he's been extremely rusty coming off of not playing basketball for a couple months, and I think has been emotionally affected for sure by this trade from Dallas. I mean, I think it's been very clear that he did not expect this, that this hurt him. I mean, you could tell this was a painful situation and a painful outcome for him, and I think that's affected the way he's played as of late as well. But the interesting thing about it is that now he seems like he's finding his groove. JJ Redick, Luka, LeBron looked incredibly excited to be together last night. I mean, they looked like they were having a fun time. This team looks really, really good. And the honest truth is, if they can just sustain what would be a league average to above league average defense, I mean, for the season, again, they're number 1 in the last 17 games, but for the season, they're 13th in basketball. Keep in mind, the first month of the season, they were like bottom 5. So since that first month of the season, they've been a top 5 defensive team in basketball. If they can be a top 10 team on the defensive end of the court, and offensively, I would think they will be better than top 10. I think they could be a top 5 offensive team. Absolutely. Maybe even better than that. This is a championship contending team, and they proved that last night. A dominant performance over a very good and healthy Nuggets team. Every single key rotation player for the Nuggets played last night. I guess no Peyton Watson would be the only rotation guy who didn't play, but all of their main players were on the court, and they just straight up kind of got dog walked, to be totally honest. A very, very impressive two-way performance by the Lakers. Now, Jokic wasn't incredibly aggressive offensively, but he also had 6 turnovers. One of his worst games in a long time, in all honesty. Really just was not efficient, successful offensively, struggled across the board, just wasn't great. This is the type of team, I mean, I've been talking about the Nuggets recently and how I think they're a championship contending team. You destroy a team like Denver on their home court, that's pretty impressive, and not something that's easy to do whatsoever. So for a Lakers team that's the 4 seed in the West, they're 2 games back of the 3 seed and 2.5 games back of the 2 seed with what, 27 games to play? A lot can change and a lot of things can happen for this team. They're what, 8-2 in their last 10 games, and that includes 2 bad losses and 2 of the first couple Luka games against the Jazz and against the Hornets. I think this team can win a title. Will they win the title? I doubt it. Do I think they're good enough to? Yes, I do. And I'm interested to watch these next couple of months because I think this team, if they find cohesiveness and consistency on the defensive end of the court, they're really, really good. And offensively, they have the potential. Again, it's going to take some time. Not everything's going to look as smooth as it did against the Nuggets. But if they can find their groove as a team on both ends of the court and play to their potential, they can beat anybody. I absolutely believe that. And as a massive Luka fan, as I'm sure y'all know, and a big Bron fan, I'd love to see it. I want to see this team succeed. They're a lot of fun to watch, and I'm excited to continue to watch this team for the rest of the year. It's a shame. I'm still crushed that Luka's a Laker, and I don't think I'll ever not be. But it's going to be a fun team to watch, that's for sure. So I hope y'all did enjoy the video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. Be back with more 2K content very, very soon. I appreciate y'all. Peace.